I did not request BlueLink remote climate start, so who did? I think I might have phantom BlueLink issues with my Ioniq 5. Hey everybody, welcome to Cars Jubilee, where I discuss EV ownership, good and bad, about my Ioniq 5 and my GV60, plus just a bunch of other EV content. So if you're interested in EV content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button to get notifications. Now, today we're talking about kind of a scary issue, and that would be phantom BlueLink issues with my Ioniq 5. Now, in case you missed it, I have phantom braking issues with my Genesis GV60. I'll put the link to that video somewhere here, also in the video description. But that hasn't been the case with my Ioniq 5. Instead, recently I've had this weird phantom BlueLink issue, and let me explain that. By phantom, I mean I don't know who did it, because I didn't do it. I did not request a climate start session through BlueLink in my Ioniq 5. My phone didn't do it, and my wife doesn't even have the app. So if I'm the only one who has BlueLink app access on my phone, and it requires a 4-digit PIN in order to remote climate start, then how in the world did it do it without me starting it? That's what I mean by phantom, because I know I didn't do it. Now, by BlueLink, I mean this app on my phone, which lets me do stuff like unlock my car, or remote climate start so that I can preheat the cabin in the cold winter mornings, which I do every single morning manually when it's cold out. But you can also do scheduled charging and scheduled preheating of the cabin through this app. So this app should let you do a lot of things. But again, I didn't start these sessions. So what happened? Who did? Now that I've covered what I mean by phantom and what BlueLink is, let me explain this issue a little more in depth. Let's start with the facts. It's done this on 2 separate occasions, both relatively recently during the month of February, and on both occasions, they were at really random times of the day. One was at 4:34 p.m., and the other one was at 11:05 a.m. These are not my typical remote climate start session times. I usually only do it in the morning at around 9 o'clock when it's cold outside. But on both occasions, I received an email notification from BlueLink where it says remote climate start notification. And then if you dig into it, it says remote climate session was successful. And both times I was confused, like, wait, what? I didn't do this. What's going on? So let's take a dive into both of these occurrences separately, because I'm going to send this video to Hyundai so they can see what's going on. Occurrence number 1 was on February 1st at 4:34 p.m. Now, typically, BlueLink just spams my phone. You get notifications, you get emails saying, car's unlocked, car's unlocked, car's unlocked. I know the car's unlocked. I left it in the garage, unlocked. But it just does that constantly, so I've gotten to the point where I just typically ignore these BlueLink notifications. And so that day, at around 6 p.m., I was looking at my phone and I was clearing all the notifications, and then I saw one via email that says remote climate start notification, and I thought, huh, that's weird. So I opened it, and then I saw that it said remote climate start successful at 4:34 p.m. And then I was like, wait, what? I didn't do that. So I immediately came down, checked on the car, everything was off. Nothing was on, I didn't hear anything. So I thought, huh, did I do that? Was it an accident somehow? And so I thought, maybe I did do it accidentally. It didn't cross my mind at the time that, wait a minute, you need to enter a PIN to do this manually. But anyways, I chalked it up as, must have been a weird BlueLink app glitch. It probably didn't start. Whatever, move on, right? Well, the next morning when I climbed into the car, I started it up and I suddenly saw the battery percentage was 68%. And that immediately got me thinking, uh-oh, I think remote climate did start. Because when I had left the car the previous afternoon, before the whole BlueLink notification thing, I remember the battery said 72%. But now the following morning, it was saying 68%, and that doesn't add up. I have had the battery go up or down 1, maybe 2% at most after a DC fast charging session, and then the car would sit overnight, and then the temperatures outside would change drastically, that's where I would expect to see 1 to 2% change, because I've seen that just throughout the past year. But I've never seen it drop 4%. And so that suddenly made me think, I think remote climate definitely did start. Now the problem is I don't know how long it started for. I don't know how long it was blasting the heat to the point that it could drop my battery 4%. But it was 30 degrees outside at the time, so to get the interior of the cabin warm, it probably blasted the heat for quite a while. So again, as soon as I got into the car the next morning and I saw the battery percentage, it made me think, yeah, I think something's going on here. But I had to go to work, so that leads to occurrence number 2. That morning, I'm driving to work. I end up parking my car in a garage downtown, and I carpool to some other job sites down in Center City where parking's a little tough. It's about a 10-minute drive just through Center City traffic. But in any case, I'm on job sites, I'm working, I'm on my phone, taking notes, taking pictures, and then all of a sudden, another email from BlueLink, same notification saying remote climate start. I thought, again? What's going on? So I immediately go into the app. Well, immediately is not exactly how it happens, because this app is slow. I try to pull up the app, I try to get the current status of the car, I refresh it. Again, that takes 2 minutes. I finally see the live status of the car and everything is off. But I don't believe it, because based on the battery percentage drop from the previous night, I think it's actually running the climate. I think it's running the heater. So I figure, well, it's a 25-minute walk back to the car. I'm on a schedule, I can't just leave. So the best I can do is actually send BlueLink requests. So I do a remote climate start request, and I wait for it. It says successful, and then I do another request to stop climate, wait for it, and then I see that it's successful. And this whole thing of checking my phone and setting these requests, that took like 10 minutes, because this BlueLink app was so slow, so glitchy. But at least after the 10 minutes, I was pretty sure that at least my climate or my heater wasn't just blasting while the car was sitting for no reason. So those are the 2 occurrences where BlueLink has somehow been able to phantom start my heater in my car when everything is off. And again, I didn't do it. And I've been able to actually fact check that myself just looking at my remote actions history. When you go into the app, there's a line here that says remote actions history. It lets you choose it, and it's supposed to populate and show you everything that you've done. Now, of course, as luck would have it, mine is blank. Maybe BlueLink's trying to hide something. But don't worry, because I took screenshots as soon as it happened. And here it is. As you can see, I did not do remote climate start at 4:54 p.m. on February 1st. I also did not do it at 11:05 a.m. on February 2nd. Clearly, BlueLink went ahead somehow and was able to do it on its own, remote climate start. And as I said before, I believe it really did start because it drained the battery 4% the previous evening. And to me, that's a huge safety issue. I mean, I parked this car all over Philadelphia downtown. What if BlueLink one day decides, let's just unlock your car for fun, huh? Well, I have my GoPro in the car most of the time. I also have other work tools and other stuff. What if the car is left open? Someone just walks in and takes all my stuff? The other thing with my Ioniq 5 is I typically leave my digital key card. This card lets me unlock and lock the car, as well as actually start the car. You can drive off with my car using this key card. And I usually leave it in my Ioniq 5. And so if one day BlueLink decides, let's just unlock your car because I want to right now, well, all my stuff's gone, and maybe my car is actually gone too. And then let's go back to that whole battery drain issue. Let's say I'm sitting at only 2 or 3% battery to begin with. You know, let's ignore the fact that you shouldn't, but let's just say I am because I'm on a trip or something. And then BlueLink decided, let's turn on the heat in the middle of the night for no reason. Well, the following morning, I would come back to a completely dead car. My main battery would be dead, and I would have to get my Ioniq 5 probably towed. Well, let's say I was actually a little bit more responsible and I left 25% battery in my Ioniq 5, or whatever that threshold is where it'll keep charging the 12-volt battery. Let's say that threshold is 23%. I left my battery at 25%, thinking it'll be okay. It'll keep charging it because I left a buffer. Well, what if BlueLink does one of these? Let's remote climate start again in the middle of the night, and then I come back the next morning. Well, it had dropped my main battery to like 19%. At that point, it's no longer charging the 12 volt. And what happens is my 12 volt clearly needs it. The light, that orange light in the front, is constantly turning on, which means it's using the main battery to charge it. I would probably come the next morning to a dead 12 volt battery, which means I won't be able to get into the car because the battery's dead. I won't be able to start the car because the battery's dead. And I just don't have time for that in the morning when I'm supposed to be dropping my son off and then going to work. So yeah, this is, I think, a pretty big issue. Again, it's only happened twice, and the weird thing is that it's only happened during the month of February. It has not happened all throughout my full 1 year of ownership until this last month. And that's why I'm actually currently not in my Ioniq 5. My Ioniq 5 was dropped off at the dealership. They're diagnosing a bunch of different things, including this whole PHANTOM BLUELINK issue. And so they gave me an Ioniq 5 loaner, which my wife is driving, which is not this car, because this is an electrified G80, which Genesis gave me, while my GV60 is also at the dealership. Essentially, both my Ioniq 5 and my Genesis GV60 are both at the dealership, while Hyundai Engineering digs a little deeper on both cars. So yeah, things have been a little crazy with my Ioniq 5 and my GV60. I haven't seen either car in about 3 weeks. We've gotten sporadic updates here and there, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyways, if you're interested in updates about what's going on with both of my cars, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll keep you up to date. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.